On reflection, you're very successful now with Goodfood's really being a brand that everyone's taking note of, with a really strong social purpose and business focus. If you look back, what were some of the major challenges and how did you overcome them? Some key inflection points that you may want to share with the audience.
I know you like to talk about speed in the podcast. I think one of the biggest things for us was our industry was exploding in terms of size. Like we were fortunate to kind of be at the early stages of the industry / create the industry with a couple other players in Canada and around the world. So we have 10 years of challenges and lots of success on top of that. Every 6 months we needed more physical space. So, we'd sign a lease with options to expand. So you can imagine just having every 6 months, you've set up an operation, manufacturing process at food safety quality. And then you're like, oh my God, okay, I thought I was going to be good for 2 years, but I'm actually good for 12 weeks. So the challenges of keeping ahead of where the demand was at the beginning was a great challenge to have, but incredibly, incredibly difficult. That culture took a long time to turn from a culture of like, okay, let's make sure we're doing the best thing for the customer and getting our orders out, to a culture of excellence in terms of execution. Because when you're scaling at the speed we were, like we started at zero, we went to 600 million in 7 years, something like that. And every week was just up and to the right, with tens of millions of pieces of produce, hundreds of thousands of boxes across the country being delivered. It's easy to lose track of like doing things excellent and to the world-class level. So I think that was something definitely on our minds, investing a little bit more at the beginning and making sure that culture from the beginning is focused on the excellence of execution. The other big challenges, as a Canadian business, I think we were trying to raise money. We weren't trying to play the venture game necessarily, but we wanted to keep investing in marketing, keep expanding operations, invest in some buildings. It was very difficult to raise money as a Canadian business, focused on Canada in the food space, where people say is notoriously hard to make any profits. The blessing that came out of that, though, is we ended up going public in 2017, and that wouldn't have happened if it was easy to raise money in Canada. If I was, if I was the hot startup that just could walk into any family office, venture firm, private equity firm, whatever it is, and they would give you capital, we would have never gone public. And going public has been a real advantage for a lot. It's never all rosy. It's been a real advantage though over time. So that was definitely a big challenge. And I would say the other two that I can mention, one would be just COVID, like the whole COVID boom. There's a lot of businesses that had lack of demand and had to shut down, and those were the challenges for them. We were fortunate to have way too much demand, but it still caused insane stress and challenges in supply chain, in the team, in the buildings. Like we were hiring 1,000 people a week, training them, putting them on the floor. People were getting scared. Customers were coming in the door more and more. We had to pause the website for sign up. So the explosion of demand took us probably 3 or 4 years to clean up after that, just because it was so huge and so fast. So that was kind of an external one that we had to adapt internally. And then I would say the back half of COVID was probably the other big one that was another huge learning point for me personally and the rest of the team. We were hovering around that $500-600 million of sales in the business, and then when the economy started to open up, people just completely changed their ordering patterns. They started to travel. They started to go to vacations. They started to go back to restaurants, whatever it may be. And the whole industry went and shrunk by over 50% pretty quickly. So we had to take a team of 5,000 and right-size it over many quarters to, we're about 600 today, plus or minus 50 people. And that was this difficult conversations, right? You have to let lots of people go that are really close to you that help build this business. But it's the right thing to do for the long run, for shareholders, for all the other stakeholders in the business. So that was something after, success and crazy demand for almost 8 years straight, the complete opposite for the last 2 years in terms of stabilizing the business, focusing on profitability and cash flow, and having those difficult conversations with people. And, we had to get out of leases and all that stuff. That was, looking back on it, you're like, okay, cool, I've done that. And I have that on my belt of tools for entrepreneurship. And it's going to be easy the next time I need to do it. But that was definitely a challenging experience for everyone in the organization, emotionally and mentally, and yeah, just to power through. And those moments were tough for a lot of people on the team.